All right, Patreon. We've got Shannon back on for a little bit longer, and she has got a cool Bigfoot story. So go ahead, Shannon.
This is a cool one, but I know that both of us, you and I both, I'm assuming you'd love to see a Bigfoot uh, quite
Yeah,
close
it'd be
and know
cool.
that you
It'd be
were
cool.
looking at it, right? And I'm
Hmm.
definitely in that camp. But this is a story that actually originally got shared on SC. It was a gentleman that I tracked
Okay.
down. He came on, but he came back on with me for Into the Fray.
Oh,
And
nice.
story never changed, and his life was completely altered after this. And I can honestly say that this is one where you kind of go, dang, I don't know if I'd want that
Hmm.
encounter. So you'll see why. So, gentleman's name is Chris. At the time, he is 13 years old, and he's in, I believe this is upstate New York, Bear
Oh,
Mountain State
nice.
Park.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
and he's part of a day camp with other kids. So nothing overnight. They'd go during the day and they'd go hiking different places.
All right.
So they're at Bear Mountain State Park. They there's a group of them. Obviously, they have chaperones, adult chaperones with them. They stop for lunch, and Chris admits at the time he's trying to be the bad boy and he's doing maybe something he shouldn't do. And he and
Hmm.
another young man sneak off for a cig, and
Oh,
they
uh-oh.
go off to have a little smoke of a ciggy.
Hmm.
And they're walking, and they have to walk a little ways, obviously, so that they don't get in trouble with the smell of the cigs.
Right.
He he hands his friend the lighter, and he lights up. Friend goes to hand it back to him. He lights his cigarette. He looks up, and standing directly behind his friend is what he calls the biggest bipedal anything he's ever seen in his
Wow.
entire life. And it only takes a few seconds for his friend to look at his face like, Chris, what's up, man? He goes, I'm
Hmm.
sure my eyes are like big as saucers. Friend turns around, takes one look at what's behind him, and absolutely just bolts, which who could blame him, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, totally.
Chris has the opposite uh, reaction to this and just stands there in shock. Which who could
Oh,
blame either one of
yikes.
them? I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to react. He's standing there and he says that the thing is no further than, get this, 10 feet away from him.
Oh,
It's
man.
9 to 10 feet tall. And
Hmm.
it's so tall, and he's 12 at the time. It's so tall that he basically was, if he would have to look up to look into its face. He was basically eye level with its chest. That's how tall this thing
Oh,
was.
wow.
It was all gray. Um, it had a here's the part where you kind of go, okay, I don't know
Hmm.
about this one. In its
Okay.
right hand, it held the top half of a dog, a large, medium to large breed dog. Had it by its neck. It had some sorry, I'm not trying to be graphic, but it had
No,
some
you're fine.
entrails hanging out.
Wow.
It had been dead for a little while though, because he saw that there was dried blood on the fur, right? That ring
Wow.
that was left. um, and in its left hand, it held either, and here's really a bothersome part. It
Okay.
just gets worse and worse.
Hmm.
Either a blanket or a piece of clothing was in its left hand.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
Yeah. So he makes himself actually look up into the face of this thing, because that was something he actually physically had to look up to do this, but he was terrified. That's why he had so much detail of probably the dog and saw the blanket, because his eyes were probably trained down. He looks up into the face of this thing, and it actually has a massive scar running from basically the middle of its forehead down across an eye
Oh,
and then down
man.
this cheek. That's why we titled that one Scarface. Like
Yeah.
this boy had been in some kind of a fight, or maybe it was with a dog man, an angry dog man. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
you never know, right?
Yeah, let's not explain one thing with another, right? So he's taken all this information in, and it finally kicks in that he might be in some serious trouble here. He says, I'm not really sure how long I stood there, but it was long enough to gather all this information. And he finally does turn heel and run like his friend did.
Wow.
His
Hmm.
friend is sitting back with the others, and this poor kid, he goes, he wouldn't even look up. He was just
Yeah.
completely
Oh,
flabbergasted
totally.
and shell shocked.
Mhm.
And that kid never ever spoke to Chris again. He said he wouldn't talk to him on the bus ride back. In fact, I think the kid didn't even go on some of the rest of these day camp trips with them.
Wow. Hmm.
And, uh, but Chris, though, he ended up becoming, even though it was a terrifying experience, he ended up becoming kind of this pseudo Bigfoot researcher and wanted to go out more. So it had the complete opposite effect on him. Yes, it was terrifying. And of course, the biggest question for him, and one for me when I first heard it, would be, of course, was this piece of cloth a blanket? Was it a person's clothing?
Yep.
Like, was it a dog's
Totally.
blanket? Was it, what was that? And how did it
Hmm.
come across the dog? Was the dog with a person? Where's that person? It just, there's so many questions, just like all of this stuff. There's always more questions than answers.
Exactly.
But that's one of the one, and he, when he describes the face, if you listen to the episode, he could only look at it for a fleeting second. Boom, he gets the mental image, and he said his eyes just dropped back down. He just could not deal with it. He just
Wow.
he need that. He's like, that was all that I could do, not to probably, scream and run.
Yeah.
But we're hoping someone, a human being, didn't also meet their demise at the hand of that Bigfoot. But yeah, the dog definitely
Wow.
didn't have a very good day, whatever day it expired.
I mean, I don't blame that kid because it's like I don't think I could handle that as an adult. That
Yeah,
would be tough. That would be really tough not to be super affected by that.
I mean,
I mean,
Jeremiah, do you feel like you want to see a Bigfoot, but there are certain things that might be on a no list for you. Like seeing a more human faced one, or I don't know. Is there anything on a no list? Like you could have that confirmation experience, but ooh, I don't know at the cost of this, is it worth it?
that's a really good question. I th- I I don't know if I would be okay with it if there's like if there's anything ripped apart and the Bigfoot's holding it. That's kind of like I'd rather be anywhere else, which is kind of weird because it's like if this creature is actually what it we say it is, like the high likelihood of things going south really quick. It's like more people should be ready for stuff like that. Like you're really going after something that's like a huge grizzly bear or like something like
Yeah, and
that.
it's
It's
got
like
to
crazy,
eat,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
um
you would think it'd
yeah.
be opportunistic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any blood and gore, that might make it too real, right? Like, oh, well, that could be me it's holding. So,
Yeah, I honestly I've never been in that situation before where I've been like um confronted with anything like that, so I don't know how I would react as a human being.
yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
kind of weird,
no,
but like
it's
I don't know.
no, it's tough. And that's
Yeah.
that's really the only, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
would you know? Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't either. I mean, I've always said how freaky I think it would be to see one that had like a really, when they say there's the gorilla type and then the type that have the more human looking faces, I feel like
That would
that
be rough.
might kind of, because then you're talking about other, implications there that,
Exactly.
when you really start talking about Bigfoot, what are they? You know, have they ever mated with people? Are they part human? That would, if I saw something like that with my own eyes, then you might go, oh well, gosh, maybe this big ape theory isn't
Mm.
what we should be talking about. I think it would
Oh,
freak me out
that's
a little bit to
interesting.
see that.
Yeah, totally. Oh man. Yeah, and I tend to stay away from I'm not really like the ghosty stuff. I don't really it's weird. It's like everyone likes to, watch Zach Baggins, but then it's like, but do I really want to go into a haunted house? Probably not, because then I'm like, I'll bring it home and all that. But I do want to go on looking for Bigfoot one day. I've never actually gotten to go.
Oh man,
And
we got to get you
yeah,
out. We
because
we
this
got to.
I started this like when the pandemic started,
Yeah.
which is a big reason why I started this. And like I've gotten offers all over the place to be like, come with me here in the PNW, come with me here in California-ish area from different people. And I'm like, I want to totally take some people up on this, but yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, one of these days you have to. It's It doesn't take much because it's funny
Mm-hmm.
when you have even just like an auditory experience, even just that whistle, even just talking about that whistle.
Mm-hmm.
There's other stuff too, but even just talking about that whistle, that was enough for me to. Sorry, I've got a hair like just sorry
You're
in my
good.
mouth. That was enough to really just for me to go, these things really might be out there. I mean, I
Totally.
really was. It's hard. I think unless you've seen one face to face, I don't know that you can
Oof.
really say you can't really be a knower. Maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
believe they're out there. You can hope they're out there. But
Yeah.
when I heard that whistle, that for me was the moment I'm like, holy smokes,
Yeah.
there is really, 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 really a chance that there are these other things are out there amongst
That's
us, and
amazing.
they're just that good at what they do that we haven't found them yet.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, someday it's gonna happen. Even if it's even like Northeast Iowa first, because there's like that
Yeah,
Finding Bigfoot
of
episode
course.
where they go to Northeast Iowa, just like start local, right? But yeah, we'll see. So,
How many Bigfoot reports are within like a few hundred miles of you?
well, I'm just I'm in like central Iowa and Des Moines area, so not a lot.
Even if you go out that far, like
Well, that's a good question. I'll have to
what if
look
you
into that.
branch out
Yeah,
like yeah,
I'll have to
like
look
I
into
wonder
that.
if we branch out like whole state,
Mm-hmm.
what that would look like.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out on like BFRO or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should throw the net out there. We got to get you on ITF, and then that way,
Oh my
people will
goodness.
write in and go, I've had an experience out there," and then
No, dude,
we can find you
get
some
me all the
Bigfoot
Van
folks.
Meter visitor stuff. Yeah, bring it on. Wow, thanks for hanging out a little bit longer, Shannon. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tape.
Absolutely.